focusing is hard. Focusing is difficult. Focusing is uncomfortable. But focusing is where you make the most progress. Hi, and welcome to the Chinchay Show. I am an entrepreneur and soccer coach. And today I'm going to be talking about focus. And specifically, I'm going to be talking about why focus is so hard and what you can do to help you with focusing. And the reason that I'm really bringing this up is because I've had multiple conversations recently about why it's been so hard to focus, and like people saying, like some of my friends have been like, oh, it's so hard to focus. I just can't sit down. I can't focus. And I've also been realizing that too. I'm like, why has it been hard for me to focus? And what I've realized is that is the point. Focusing is hard. Focusing is difficult. Focusing is uncomfortable. But focusing is where you make the most progress. We live in a world that's incredibly distracted, right? We're always multitasking. We're always being drawn away from things and being spread thin and have like multiple things going on at once, right? But when we focus on one thing, the one thing that we actually need to get done, or the one relationship we actually need to work on, then we create momentum and we typically see progress. But focus is not easy. And I think it's just like helpful to hear that, to remember that focusing is not easy, so that you stop using I can't focus, it's hard to focus as an excuse. And I'm talking to myself right now too, because like I need to remember this, because sometimes when I sit down on my desk and I'm like, I need to get something done, I need to focus on the one thing that's actually going to move the needle forward for me, it's like 1,000 other things pop up. I'm hungry. I have to pee. I'm thirsty. I want to stand up. I want to check my phone. I want to blah, blah, blah. Like there's like immediately, like literally as soon as I go to do the thing, it's like, ooh, distraction. And the problem with that is when we are constantly distracted by things, we live in reaction mode. And living in reaction mode is so chaotic and it's not functional. And if you live in reaction mode, I just heard this quote, it's like, if you're living in reaction mode, you're living in like repair. You're constantly trying to repair things, right? But if you're planning, then you're preparing, right? So it's like, I'm butchering the quote a little bit, but it's to that effect. I was like, that is so key. That is so crucial. Stop reacting and distracting. So for me, an easy way to really practice focus is going into the sauna. Because for me, I don't bring my phone to the sauna. Sometimes like at the very end, I will, but for the most part, do not bring my phone to the sauna because it's like really bad for your phone. Your phone's not going to work in there. Anyways, but I have no headphones, nothing. I'm just in the sauna and I'm uncomfortable, right? So, and that's exactly what focus is. Like focus is uncomfortable. Right? Focus is not easy. It's not comfortable. I'm just going to keep repeating this because I'm so sick and tired of hearing people always be like, oh, it's so hard to focus. I'm like, yeah, it's hard for everyone to focus. But at some point, you just need to focus on the things that are going to move the needle forward. Like stop distracting, stop reacting, go all in on the things that you actually need to go in on so you can achieve your goals and so on and so forth. So when I go into the sauna and I sit there, it is hard to focus because I'm just like internal. It's like right here. Our phones are just like distraction, reaction. But if you don't have that, and you just sit there and you focus and you just get in touch with your body and you sit in that uncomfortable feeling, it really translates to all these other spaces where you can just like focus, like your workouts, your work, your conversations, whatever it is that you're passionate about, whatever you're trying to learn, right? Wherever you're trying to move forward. So that's one thing that has really, really helped me. The other thing is seriously setting timers and having hardcore phone boundaries. You need to have boundaries on your screen time. You need to have boundaries on your scrolling time. You need to And I fall away from it. I'll have really hard boundaries, and then I start to slip, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? If you don't have those boundaries with your phone, with your screen time, you will live in a state of distraction and reaction, and you are not in control at all when you're doing that. You're not in control, and you're not going to be doing the things that you actually want / need to do. Okay. So for me, that's like setting a timer, and then I'm like, I'm not going to look at my phone until this thing is done. I do that with cleaning a lot of the time. I just set a timer for cleaning. Don't do anything else. No looking at phone, nothing. I just set the timer and then I clean. That's something that's really helpful for me. But the other thing is, every time you're doing something and you pull away, and I did it this morning. I literally did it this morning. I was like, Izzy, why are you doing that? I was like doing something and I was like, oh, I just had this like urge to grab my phone and check it. And I was like, why am I doing that? That is disrupting my productivity. It's disrupting me getting things done. And I just feel the need to talk about it. Like Instagram, that's pretty much the only real platform other like YouTube that like I'm actually on and like active. Like the entire goal of all social media is to make you sucked in so they get more views, more people are on there for longer, and they steal more of your time, right? That is the purpose, right? Because then they make more money through ads and like all the things, okay? So if you don't have boundaries, you're just getting used by the system, and you're being distracted and you're reacting. Like, how many of us wake up in the morning and get on our phones and like check Instagram or Facebook? Please don't do that. If you do that, stop doing that. The number one reason why is because you are not setting the tone of your day. You are reacting immediately. You start your day reacting, and you send a message saying, I'm not in charge of my time. I don't own my time. I'm just going to spend my all day reacting to everything around me, right? And that is the power of focus. And I coach a lot, right? And I coach little kids. Sometimes I ask them, I tell them, hey, we got to focus up. I got to focus up. We got to focus on our drills. We got to focus on our training. And I'll ask them, I'll say, what does focusing mean to you? Do you know what that means when I tell you to focus? What does that mean? A lot of them don't know what that means because they're just not taught. They're just told to focus, but not told how to focus. The first thing I tell them is like, it means to just look at the one thing. Just look at one thing. For them, that's the ball, right? Just look at the ball. Stop looking. Don't go over here. No looking at your friend. No looking at what they're doing over there. Look at one thing. And so the thing about phones is we're never looking at one thing. So we're losing the skill of focus. Screens are deteriorating that muscle of focus, because now we can't focus. We just beep, 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 next thing. We can't hold our attention. And I think it's like, it bleeds into so many other areas that are so bad, because like meditation is focus. Like, it's not, but it is. But it's so valuable and it's so helpful, and I talk a lot about mental health, and I think those things are like all connected, because if we don't have the skill to focus, we don't have the skill to meditate, to sit still, to not distract, we're not going to be able to deal with all the internal thoughts, feelings, like connecting to your body, working through your trauma. No, you're not even going to have those skills. So you're just going to go straight to the doctor, and they're just going to give you medicine. If you're new to the show here, you know I talk a lot about mental health and how I have a whole history with that and got put on medication. Go back and listen to some of my other episodes, right? So I think it's a whole thing, and it's a big problem. It's a big problem. But why I'm doing this is because I want to remind you that just because focusing is hard does not mean it's something that you should not be actively working to get better on. And stop using it as an excuse. Stop saying, oh, it's just so hard to sit down and focus. Yeah, it's hard for everyone. Working out is hard, bro. Like, anything that gets us good results, anything that's worthwhile is not easy. It's just not. But I hear people tell me that all the time. Like, that's their excuse for not doing it. Oh, it's hard. I'm like, I don't even know how to respond to that anymore, because I'm like, isn't that obvious? Like, it's hard to go up the hill, but once we get to the top of the hill, we get the view, right? We get the reward of doing the thing. of accomplishing the task. And without hard, I really believe without hard, there is no reward. There's no reward for me without the challenge, without the struggle, right? I'm not saying it needs to be like miserable and you got to hate what you're doing by any means, but like if I don't work out hard, it's hard to work out hard, to actually embrace the hard part, to go hard, to be a beast. If I don't do that, I get no reward at the end of it. Obviously, there's balance and like certain days you need recovery and all the things. But overall, I don't get the reward if it's not hard. So stop using it that it's hard as an excuse. That is just never, ever, ever going to serve you. It's never going to get you to the next level that you want to go to. Like, stop. Don't do that. Second of all, remember that focusing is a skill. It is an absolute skill. I used to literally, I couldn't sit still. I didn't even know. I hadn't trained myself how to focus. Right? So I have some friends who are like working to start a business. They want to start a business. They're like, oh, I just can't focus and come up with a plan. I'm like, that's everyone's excuse. Everyone's excuse is it's hard to focus, have a plan, and follow through. That doesn't make you special, that it's hard for you to focus. That just makes you like everyone else. And if you want to be a little bit elite and you want to be at the next level and you want to level up your life, you got to get used to focusing. And you got to get used to focusing consistently and going all in consistently. Because if you don't have focus and consistency, it's going to be really, really hard for you to get like results pretty much in any space in your life. And I'm kind of intense today, and I'm not trying to yell at you and be like, you need to do this, but I'm actually just fired up, and I actually think like this is going to help. This is going to help to remind yourself focus is difficult, but you can do it. And it's like, trust me, it's been so difficult for me to learn how to focus. Like, especially once you're an entrepreneur and you start a business, like there's no one telling you what to do. You're the only one driving the bus. So if you don't learn how to focus, you don't dial it in, you don't buckle down and get the work done, it's not going to get done. And so that's why that skill of focus has been so crucial. And it's something I need to work so much more on and continue to improve in. But I hope that you can too. I hope you can get better at focus and not bail just because it was hard to focus. But embrace the fact, yeah, it is going to be hard to focus. That's okay though. I'm okay with the fact that it's going to be hard. Now I got to get determined and not quit just because it's hard. Because I tell you, every time you're about to make that next move and that next step in your life, you sit down to do that thing, your body will try and get you out of it so quick. Like, it's crazy. It'll be like, oh, I got to pee. Oh, I got to grab my phone. Oh, I got to get water. Like, I mean, almost instantly, your body's like, oh, it's so uncomfortable. No, abort. So be prepared for that, and then be like, nope, that's all right. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to sit in here, and I'm going to get this done, right? I'm going to do it. And everyone has different methods, and find what works for you, but be prepared for the struggle of focus. And then you know what you're getting into, instead of being like, oh, I got distracted immediately. Oh, every time I try and sit down to this, it's like something happens. Of course something happens every time you try. Of course. That's no surprise. That's just like the way like life works, right? You try to sit down and do something, you get a phone call, you get a text, blah, blah, blah. You got to just eliminate all of that. We live in such a busy society. Put the phone in the other room. Go to the bathroom before you sit down. Drink your water, everything. And then go, nope, even if I do have to go to the bathroom or whatever, I'm going to sit here for a second and I'm going to finish this task. So, as always, I believe in you. You're awesome. Keep pushing, do the work, start practicing focusing, and don't use it's hard as an excuse anymore, because that does not serve you. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for listening. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, I would greatly appreciate if you could share this episode with 5 people you think could benefit from the show. Also, please feel free to connect with me on Instagram at Izzy Chinchay or my website at izzychinchay.com. Thank you so much for being you. Keep being a leader and making this world a better place.